Sermon time. Education. What a weird topic that I wasn't expecting to be a Cam Church topic. Christina Martin is passionate about education, and so am I. I am an educator. I have worked as a college level teacher teaching English creatively and English writing for technical stuff and for jobs and careers and grammar. And then I have also worked work now as a Montessori preschool teacher. So my educational experience, obviously I went through the educational thing. I was in public school, and then I went to a state-run university. So I never got the advantage of going to like a Montessori or a private school or anything like that. My education has been very state-funded and very state-directed, and the state, many would argue, and what I've seen based on the results of my education for me and my peers, is that the state does not actually want you to know how to learn. The state wants you to be able to spit back facts about things. And all through the lens of war, which is really strange. So as an educator, as somebody who, I pride myself on my ability to explain concepts to you guys on YouTube. I consider YouTube an educational platform, and I believe that I am an educator as a cult leader as well as my professional experience as an educator. So what that means to me is really different than what we are taught in school. And in school, you are taught this really formulaic way of teaching where they give you information. You're supposed to commit that information to memory and then regurgitate it onto a test. A lot of times that information is date-based without contextual information about what the date means. It's just a number to you. They don't even give you the context of what the emotions or mood or fashion or social implications of that time even were, which is so weird, because I feel like if they did that, a lot more people could easily remember the dates. Instead, they just give you numbers. So when I was young, I couldn't remember all these numbers. I would get, the 1780s and the 1870s mixed up because it didn't mean anything to me, because I wasn't taught what those time periods, like the energy of the time period. If you teach the energy of the time period, I'm getting off track. So they want you to regurgitate dates and information, and a lot of times it's through the lens of war. Really strange to me, and conflict. I guess that makes sense because of the way that our media is run. A lot of our plots of our movies and stuff, it's like the story arc. The story arc goes to a conflict, and then this pinnacle, solution, battle, big explosions, fighting, and then the resolution. So there's this conflict, and then it just gets built up, and then there's a war usually, and then everybody's calm until the next conflict brings us all up again into a fervor. So that's the way we understand the world. That's the lens through which we view things. That's the lens through which we view movies, TV, stories, everything like that. That's what they teach you to write and tell stories. Stories are how we create our understanding of the world. It is not to be underestimated how important it is to analyze how we tell stories when talking about education, when talking about our joy, when talking about society as a whole, when talking about, the solutions that we're coming up with. Because when we see reality in this way of conflict, more conflict, explosions, resolution, and then another conflict, it causes us to live in that way. It's a mirror. I'm not saying there's not conflicts in the world. There are, and it's important to know about them, and it's important to analyze them. But instead of that way of teaching, and instead of that way of interpreting the world, I urge us all to explore different ways of teaching and different ways of thinking. There's a lot of authors, for instance, who do stream of consciousness writing. Do we need plots? That's really my question. Do we need plots? So, education, as it stands, is really meant to prepare people for a world where they are disempowered. Education as it stands goes into the same category as watching TV, as working a job for 100 years until you can't retire anyways because Social Security is all run out. It's the same reality as buying into whatever's on the news. It's the same reality as it's conformity. And there's nothing wrong that we've been through this phase of conformity where we all really wanted to conform, because I think it's taught us a lot about our unique abilities and about our abilities, and the damaging nature of conformity and of conforming into this singular expectation. Because as I've stated before, diversity is the thing that causes life. Diversity is what enriches us. Diversity is the key to Earth. So for us to try to conform in the educational platform is really just teaching everyone the same concepts, teaching everyone in the same way, expecting everyone to learn the same things. And they pretend like they're doing it in this other way. They're like, oh, well, maybe you're a visual learner. Maybe you're an auditory learner. Maybe you're a hands-on learner. Those are like the smallest little like variations in this really big box of everyone needs to be learning things in the same way. So to have a teacher standing up in front of a bunch of people and talking about irrelevant information to their lives and expecting them to memorize it without even having a reason to memorize it other than you have to get a good grade and you're going to have a panic attack if you don't get a B+, because if you get a B, then you're going to lower your GPA and then you're going to get off the dean's list and you're going to lose your scholarship. All those things and all that anxiety is so far removed from the knowledge, from the information, from the actual learning that there is a potential for us to have. So this is the key to education, you guys, and this is what we need to change education to, and this is what we need to completely uproot our old way of thinking, throw it in the fucking trash can, because we are doing it completely wrong. The key to education is curiosity. Educators' role should not be to provide information anymore. There's no reason for that because we have the internet, we have books, we have infinite information surrounding us at all times. If you have information and you are a teacher or an educator, don't just tell it to 10 people in a classroom. Upload it to the internet so you can teach hundreds or thousands of people those concepts. Your role as an educator is no longer to have specific knowledge and give it to a limited number of students. The technology is beyond that. We are beyond that. That's a waste of resources. Educators, then, still valuable, still just a shift in what their role is, but like actually even more importantly, an educator's role now is to inspire confidence and curiosity. So a student, if they have curiosity, they're going to be able to learn anything. Curiosity and confidence are the two things you need to be a genius. That's it. That's all that you need. Because if you believe that you can learn something, you will learn it. If you believe it and you want to and you're curious about it, you will learn it because we have all the resources now available. So your curiosity guides you into what you're interested in. And if you're curious, let's say for instance my experience in education. I've always been interested in fashion and fashion throughout history. I have never been interested in anything else with history. So when I was sat down in school and taught, this war happened this time, this war happened this time, there was a battle here, and this many people died. Like, I didn't listen to that. I was horrified. Instead, if I had been given the opportunity to explore my interests through fashion and the confidence to do so, I would have been able to study fashion from the beginning of time until now, which I have done at this point to a certain degree. And then by studying the thing that I love over time, I got an idea of what the politics of the time were. You watch women's clothing over the 20th century changed from these huge gowns of just these billowing sleeves, like all this fabric and like so much money. Everybody had like 1 to 3 dresses tops. That's all you had because they were so freaking expensive. It's like half your pay for the whole year just to buy a single dress. Yeah, you're not gonna like, I don't know if it cost that much, but they were very expensive, more than we have now. And then you watch fashion change and get smaller, and then ready to wear comes in, and then like the technology changes. So not by studying the thing that I like, fashion, I learned all about technology. I learned about the politics. I learned about the feminism movements that went through, and the role of women in society. All those things just from studying one thing that I actually liked. You can learn that kind of thing if you're studying war, if you're interested in war. But for me, it wasn't my interest. It didn't interest me at all, so I learned nothing. Follow your curiosity. Have confidence to know that you can learn anything. If you're curious about making music, if you're curious about creating or learning any skill, working on cars, doing anything, do not let your limiting beliefs hold you back. That's the confidence part of this, is that an educator should always be able to help students remove the limiting beliefs that they have so that they can pursue the information that they want to pursue with joy and without fear. Just removing fear. So you can learn anything, and you can be an educator online, and you can be an educator in real life, and just know that your role as an educator is not even that so much as to pass on information anymore, but more how to look at information and internalize that which may or may not be true, and to have the curiosity and confidence to pursue it. Uni bless.